So my daughter's first words were itchy. I mean, yeah, she said mom and dada too, but for real, one of her first words was itchy. She was just always constantly so itchy as a little baby. And it was heartbreaking as a mom who was also struggling with postpartum depression, anxiety, rage on her third child. It was just a lot to watch her just scratch herself raw, cry herself to sleep, and not be able to sleep because she was just crying. She was so itchy. I had no idea that our symptoms, the random little rash that I had on my hip, was connected with the eczema that she was dealing with. My name's Ashley Sweeney, and I'm a registered dietitian, a mom of 3, and now I work with women who are struggling with symptoms that they can't figure out why they've come about and how they've come about. They've tried all the things, and something's still not working. I work with moms and families to help them stress less about healthy eating. And my story started with that, with my daughter's eczema and my random rash that I didn't know was connected at the time. And this all started with some healing of our gut health, some poop tests, and becoming obsessed with this topic after helping her heal in just a short time. We had tried everything, all the creams, all the lotions, all the Benadryls. She was on steroid creams. It was so much, and it was so overwhelming as a mom, and when it felt like nothing would work. It felt like some days she could eat a little bit of avocado and be fine, and other days avocado would make her break out like crazy. The allergists were no helpful. The dermatologists, they just kept giving us more steroid creams and telling us just to kind of good luck. It was just so frustrating and so disheartening and so sad just watching her so itchy all the time. Anyways, so what we did after a lot of back and forth was working with one of my now colleagues, a friend in the nutrition field, another dietitian, Christa Biegler. Both do a GI map, which is a stool test. It's an at-home test. The company sends it to you. You do what you need to do. You fill up a little vial, and then you send it straight back to the company. And so we both did that mom and baby unit, right? And the results were eye-opening. The GI map is a stool-based DNA test that uses PCR technology, which stands for polymerase chain reaction, which is a lab technique that copies and amplifies tiny bits of DNA so it can detect even the tiniest bit of bacteria, viruses, yeast, etc. But it doesn't just look at the bugs, it also looks at the immune system, the gut integrity lining, and more to support, really to give you a little snapshot of your gut health. Before working with Christa, I had never really done any functional or integrative testing on my own, and it wasn't until then that I became obsessed with this style of testing because you get a true little snapshot and a picture into what's happening, and you can use the labs and the data along with the symptoms that you and I was experiencing in order to create a plan, in order to move forward in a way that's not really done or not done in traditional medicine many times. So what did our test show? Turns out we both had high levels of H. pylori, candida, which is a type of yeast, staph and strep overgrowth, and low levels of the good bacteria, the commensal bacteria, the ones that you want. And then we had high levels of opportunist bacteria, which at some level, some of these opportunistic bacteria, they have a role and they have a place. But when their levels become too high and there's that dysbiosis is where problems like ours come into play. It also shows measures of digestion and intestinal health. You can see that the steatocrit was really high, which there was too much fat in the stool, meaning I wasn't breaking down and absorbing fats very well. Beta-glucuronidase was high, which is an enzyme that's made by gut bacteria, and high levels can mean gut imbalance and that your body's recycling toxins and hormones instead of clearing them. And I find that's often a high when women have hormones stuff is kind of out of whack there. And my secretory IgA was low, which is gut immunity, and on the weaker side, meaning it was probably harder for me to fight off infections and just have a strong gut barrier. So a lot of those levels of overgrowth are what contributed to histamine intolerance in both of us. Her eczema, crazy reactions to allergies, her immune system was just off the charts. And then we worked on a plan together. So we worked with Christa, who is still one of the smartest dietitians I know, and I still refer so many people to her because she just is next level. But we work together with a plan, and we work on making sure the gut is healthy in order to make sure that you can eliminate the bacteria that you're going to be killing and the things that you're going to be killing off. Make sure that your pathways are all open and you kill off the bacteria that have overgrown. And then you work on healing the gut lining and making sure the gut's in a good place for immune system wise, and repopulate. And a lot of that follows the functional training that I've done since then in order to really master these techniques. But with my daughter, since she was so little, we used a lot of tinctures, a lot of herbals, natural antimicrobials, natural antibacterials, and a lot of that was, like I said, in tinctures we'd dilute in water or maybe a little bit of juice and give it to her in syringes. I would take a lot of the same stuff or had it in capsule form just because it was stronger. And within weeks, she was night and day different. Weeks, like night and day different, so drastically different. Her eczema calmed down. She was not complaining of being itchy all the time. She was not crying all the time. She was happy and enjoyable to be around. And I remember how much that, as a mom, just lifted me out of just this funk and how much of a relief that was. It was such a game changer. So she still has some allergies, but her immune response has decreased. So the reactions that she's having now are way less severe. And yes, that comes with time and age for sure. But I also believe there's no way that would have happened that quickly in a little kid had we not done the targeted protocol. So since then, I've pretty much become obsessed with gut health, nutrition, families, and everybody just feeling better and using food and using the right supplements and using the right protocols in order to help moms feel better so that they have more energy to take care of their kids and be the mom they want to be, and kids so they're not so itchy and you're not so miserable just sitting here watching your kid just be so uncomfortable. Because it was so frustrating to just be slathering her with creams or trying steroids and stuff that I knew were so harsh and not actually fixing the root of the problem. Anyways, if you can relate to any of this, you could get started with a histamine guide, right? So if you realize really quickly that you are sensitive to histamines, that's a good intention that something's out of whack. And so you can start by changing your diet up to a low histamine diet, and I have a guide for that linked below, but that's a great place to start. Otherwise, if you are interested in pursuing GI map testing and stool testing and nutrition support that comes along with that, you can always email me, and that email is below, and we can work on a plan to get started together. That's it. Make sure you're subscribed to get more videos on nutrition and gut health for the whole families to start feeling better from the inside out.